We can kick off. If you could just tell us your names and your band and how you got started.
Okay. Right.
Right.
I'll say my name.
You say.
And then you say I'm Will and we are Maia. We are half of Maia.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm Joe.
I'm Will. We're both in a band called Maia.
Yeah.
Based in Huddersfield. Yeah.
What's that?
And that's great. How did you actually get started, the band? How did it actually come together?
Well, sort of effectively last year, in around November time, we were approached by our lead singer, Tom, who wanted to start up a band, sort of producing acoustic folk music with a different angle on the whole folk thing. So we've sort of taken folk from different cultures and different places, and a lot of influence from our own backgrounds as musicians.
Right. And he basically put you all together then, did he? And he met.
Well, I met Tom on a pub crawl in the first week of term, like the music.
As you do.
Like the student, because all the music students have a pub crawl in the first week so you can meet people. And I bumped into him, and then he said, "Oh, I'll come back to my room and stuff." And he played me some songs with ukulele and like sang and stuff. I thought it was really cool. And then, well, did you?
I sort of met Will and Tom on a landing as they were recording a voicemail for Will's old phone.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, we just got talking. They found out that I played the trumpet and piano and whatever, and then I eventually found out that the first gig that we were playing was like 2 days later. So we had a band practice, worked out some parts, and
that was it.
Yeah, and it started.
Right.
Before we had Joe, we had a violinist called Anya. So is that a violinist?
Violin player. Yeah.
Violinist, right. And then we had a cellist, and then we had a horn player, and then they kind of didn't get on with us or whatever reason. I don't not really any reasons, I guess, but just we ended up. Not the
with me, yeah.
Second choice.
Were you a sub then? You came on when she was sent off. And
yeah, next. Basically, an audition
I don't know.
process.
There was a lot of overlap of like all the melody instruments, and eventually, like for whatever reason, some people left and other people weren't quite sort of as committed, and so just ended up the four of us. I'm playing trumpet, Will on percussion, and Simon playing banjo and mandolin, and Tom up front singing and playing ukulele and guitar.
Right. How was your reception of the band? You're a bit. I'd class you a bit quirky, yeah.
I'd say we are, yeah. We've got sort of a different edge than a lot of music around at the moment, and like when I first came to the band and heard the stuff Tom was writing and how the guys who were already in it were playing it, it sounded a lot like something that I'd never heard before. Like there were a lot of comparisons to other bands like Beirut or even bands like what are they? The Mummers, whatever.
Oh yeah.
What were they?
Mummers. It's just the Mummers, isn't it?
Yeah, the Mummers. Yeah. So there was a lot of overlap between different genres of music, but nothing that you could quite class this as sort of like folk or acoustic or like gypsy folk or whatever, you know. So it intrigued me, you know, and I think it intrigues people still. So.
It's quite reassuring because after we did our first gig in November, there's a producer called Chock we know who came to see Tom because he knows Tom, the lead singer, and he liked us and he offered to record us in January. So sort of 2 months after we formed, we got to record 3 songs properly, like to quite a good standard. And then we ended up doing more and more. So it was quite reassuring that we sort of recorded an album just off the back of our first gig.
Yeah,
really.
What kind of reception do you get then? What kind? Don't have to word this one, but what kind of people turn up and what kind of response do you get? By people generally.
Well, often, like since last November, we've played gigs predominantly to not an older generation, but like sort of to students upwards. But about 6 months ago now, we played at the O2 in Sheffield, and there were quite a lot of youngsters there, sort of like 14, 16 age, and I was quite overwhelmed by the response they gave to us, because I sort of thought I had it pinned down in my head as sort of like an older sort of collective that would like the music, but it was amazing to see that these people who sort of like it's very easy to say that their music taste can be stinted at that age because you just hear what's on the radio. I know I did. So, but yeah, so I was quite shocked at the sort of reception they gave us. And
I don't think we're like, you know how say a band like, you know the Ting Tings, how they had all the publishing pushed into them, and then suddenly they were made really famous. Like, I don't think we'd ever hit off that suddenly. We kind of have to build our fan base as we go along by people liking our music, rather than a sudden. If we,
surge.
I think we've got to earn our fans, if you know what I mean.
But the response has been good lately, hasn't it?
I hope so.
Yeah, it's been very good. I mean, we've just starting to sell our album, our first debut album, our debut album. Yeah, we're just starting to sell our debut album, and it and the sort of review we've had back from our friends and people who aren't even our friends, sort of like giving us back feedback. It's quite amazing the different variety of sort of praise we get.
Yeah, no one's slated it.
Yeah, no one's slated it.
We haven't. Well, we're hoping to get some reviews sort of in papers as well. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, and some bigger websites. But it'll be a good time to see then how the public kind of like it. I mean, it'll be quite depressing if we get slated.
Right, yeah.
Do you like, with all the different instruments that you play, do you see that as a challenge? Do you all bring different kind of influences to the band, and like, do you see yourself as a progressive band?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, the lineup that we've got currently, like the lineup is sort of, it has the ability to change because we're all instrumentalists who can play a different variety of things. Like Will's mainly a drum kit player, but like he picked up the cajon and djembe like that, and so and I'm a pianist, so like and a trumpet player, so I can play a multitude of those sorts of instruments, and so I mean we're not held back by our lineup at all. Like it's something that can evolve and shape our sound as we go along.
Yeah, I think Tom's the lead singer, and he's I think his new songs are different. They're much quieter, and there's a lot more like quiet picking in them, and they're much sort of calmer. And I think we haven't played them as a band yet, but I imagine when we do, we're going to have to change, because at the moment sometimes we kind of blast a bit. There's no sort of blasting sections into these new songs, so I guess we will have to change.
Yeah, I mean,
when we start doing new material.
I'm thinking of taking up the vibraphone.
What direction do you reckon you'll go?
Maybe not instrumentation, but like techniques. Like you might use mutes, maybe.
Yeah, more sort of using the extensions of our instruments. Like the music that we're playing currently, for us it's quite basic because we've obviously written the parts ourselves, each individually, and so for us to go out on stage and play like the lines that we've written, for that it's easy, but the real challenge comes when there's a new sort of sound developing into the band from Tom's more developed style of songwriting, so we can use it as an opportunity to progress on our instruments at the same time.
Everyone's queuing up to buy PK tickets.
We can get us in our MySpace fan base.
Hey, that's an idea.
What's the future hold for you guys then? What you're doing musically now and onwards?
I mean, I think the
recording wise and things.
The future for us currently, like the next sort of say year or so, hopefully we'll be pushing our album, which is due for public release in March, is it? And due to various media issues. But recording-wise and sort of progression musically, I think we'll be able to take the chance of being together a lot, because we're playing a lot more shows now, to sit down in the hotel room or whatever, or sit down in our car when we kip at night, to sit down and like listen to some new music that we haven't heard from other artists, and also to play together with the new music and see what happens.
All right, thanks for your time, guys.
No,
I
thanks.
appreciate that. It was really great. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Yeah.